it makes things easy when I already know as the man, the owner, what we can't do, how long of a lease we need, what we can do for the space.
Hello, welcome to episode 142 of the Smart Agents podcast. As always, my name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. In today's episode, we are joined by Taylor Stanecek of Colorado Springs-based Mountain Management and Real Estate, Inc. Like many, Taylor didn't find immediate success when he first entered the residential real estate space, so after a few years, he realized that commercial real estate was more his calling and joined his family's property management company. Now thriving in property management, Taylor shares how owning the commercial space benefits his relationship with tenants as a property manager. But before we get on with today's featured interview, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now Amazon Music. Also, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or real estate tips to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to today's featured interview with Taylor Stanecek. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope you do as well. Well, really, the way I like to start everything out is if you could just introduce yourself to us a little bit, who you are and where you're at.
So my name is Taylor Stanecek. I am working with Mountain Management and Real Estate. It is located in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I am 31 years old. I have been doing this for about 6 years now. I've had my real estate license. I actually got it through um, where was it? It was through Kaplan, and I actually was able to work first with Keller Williams. So I started on the residential side, and I worked my way over to commercial.
What was it that, originally, got you into real estate, at the beginning?
So actually, that was family. The family that I have a lot of family members who are working in real estate, specifically my grandfather and my mother. They were the ones that kind of first built the company, and then I joined in later, and now it's become a partnership between my mother and I. So that's kind of where the door had opened. Originally, I was going to go into law, but it took a different turn once I started, getting some experience before I went to law school. Yeah.
Right,
It didn't work
absolutely.
out as I had expected. So I ended up deciding to go to real estate school. I had already had some experience before real estate school too, because I grew up with parents and grandparents who were working in property management, and I was called to the building sometimes to do some maintenance, helping work, things like that. So it was something that was already it was introduced to me early on. So I thought it might be an interesting route to take. And, I enjoy it. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. So, early on in your real estate career, how were you getting your name out there to, kind of start building your own business? And obviously, you kind of had the family thing going on to help you with that as well.
Yes, so that's an excellent question. Actually, in the beginning, after I got my real estate license, I actually didn't work immediately with my family. I actually
Yeah.
went to a brokerage firm called Keller Williams. So I was by myself, working under a brokerage firm with them. And the way that it started out was actually pretty difficult. And I'm sure a lot of agents can relate to this. But when I had first started real estate, I was on my own. I had no, it's like starting up your own business. You're not going to expect a lot of money in the beginning. It's a lot of debt that you might have to take on first by, getting your name out there, starting your marketing process. I did for the first 2 years. I did a lot of door knocking. We're talking, kind of cold call kind of door knocking, out and about on a daily basis. I probably knocked on over maybe 10,000 doors. I spent a long time working on that. It was quite the it was quite the experience.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it was a lot of tedious work, which was fruitless, I would say.
Mhm.
I learned that the hard way, that most people are probably not going to want to sell or buy when when you first meet them, you knock on their door and you're asking them some questions. Most people also have family members who already are in real estate, who they rely on when they're ready. So
Yeah.
it was a harsh lesson in the beginning, but definitely worth my time to experience, because it gave me a sense of how to begin that process of marketing, how to really showcase myself, and how to introduce myself to the world. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really important, point is that, with the door knocking and when you're first starting out, you might have these ideas that, oh, I just go knock on this door and, I'm
mhm.
going to get so many people sign up to list their house with me. And it's not like that. That first conversation, you're rarely, I mean, honestly, if you get anybody to answer the door, you're lucky. But
Absolutely, yes. And I actually used to keep like notes and information. Sometimes I would go back to same neighborhoods, and I'd be like, okay, so I remember I had knocked on this door before, no one answered, or I spoke to so and so, and they might be interested. So maybe I want to follow up with them. It's been a few weeks, things like that. But I was not the only one too. A lot of other people who were also graduating, getting their real estate licenses, and joining Keller Williams with me were just fresh into the business, just like I was. So I had a lot of other friends that I had made who I could interact with, ask questions about how they were doing things, how it was going for them. A lot, I would say, in the first 2 years. As I was kind of working with that brokerage firm, there were a lot of other brokers just like me who had given up or were unable to go forward with it within the first 2 years. I would have to say probably about half of the other people who got their license had given up or became discouraged because of that. So it's very it is a very harsh thing. Real estate can be harsh sometimes, but the thing is that perseverance is very important to to you have to get through the hard part of it, and it can last a long time. But yes, I saw a lot of other brokers give up early. Mm-hmm.
right, absolutely. So what was it that kind of clicked marketing wise to where things started to turn around for you?
So I was not with the company for very long, because I had grown to like the commercial side more. It's
Mhm.
not that like the company didn't do anything wrong with what I who I was with. Keller Williams was very educational. In fact, they really helped show me the ways of how to get into real estate with a stronghold. But commercial was really my calling. So after after about 2 years, I had gone from Keller Williams to the company that my family manages, and I started to focus more on the commercial end of real estate.
Right.
And that was when things kind of took a shift for me, because I mean, and also I have to say that I kind of was lucky that I have family who have already established a strong real estate network here in Colorado Springs, where I became established as well. Because building, it takes a long time, but with this already being established, I was coming in with already some clientele, properties, tenants, things like that. But that was really that was where I started to actually, I guess you could say, blossom, because I had the opportunity to focus less on the marketing side and more on how to better handle property management, leasing, and I could actually focus more on the expertise of handling, the tenants that when they're already tenants, or the clients when you're trying to get I already have the clients, they're coming to me now. How do I get them to actually lease the spaces that I'm trying to lease? So it kind of shifted there. Whereas the first 2 years I was just trying to get a client.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, and I think it's really important, to be able to recognize what your strong suits are. That maybe the residential wasn't quite your thing,
Mm-hmm.
but this is more your avenue where you can focus on, because I have to imagine with the tenant relationships and all that, just a lot of system building and just really kind of keeping those things running. And so maybe that's just more your strong suit.
I mean, it has grown on me. I feel that with the experience that I have gained over the last 6 years, that I'm good at what I do in property management, just because it's become something of a lot more self discipline, self training, um, learning from your mistakes, being able to perfect the business. And over time, it's just grown on me that I do what I do because I do enjoy it, and I do the best that I'm the best that I can be as a property manager, because one thing that is also something that I do is I take pride in ownership. I try to work at the best of my ability. I don't want to, you know, just put a little effort in something, and if I'm putting my name on something, I want to make sure that it's like I'm proud of it.
Right. So with the property management, there's so much that goes into that, whether
Yes.
that be the client relationships or even the, just maintaining of the properties themselves. So I'd have to imagine you're really heavily involved in all of that.
So yes, I actually, as the family owned business, there are only a handful of us. Really, there's three or four of us, and the fourth person is more of just they're retired. It's my grandfather. He's already done his part. He's kind of he just likes to oversee things. But really, there's just three property managers. One that's part time, and then there's two of us that are full time. So myself and my mother, we are the two full time property managers. We handle all aspects of the business, really. Of course, when I say that, we do have vendors, but then at the same time, too, we're just, two, three, four employees in a company that manages eight office space buildings.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, you know, how much have you learned, just even like the maintaining of the properties? You said you have the vendors, but a lot of the folks that I talk to that are in property management, they've kind of had to learn to do a lot of these things themselves to, handle issues quickly or, just not have to go through a vendor.
Absolutely. So that's where I've become a jack of all trades in a sense, because I've had to learn a little bit of everything. In a sense, I do a lot of the light electrical work, a lot of the light, the plumbing, HVAC. Um, I also have, I've had to learn how to paint, which is surprisingly difficult to do. Most people think, oh, it's just, you take a paintbrush and you paint. There are actually a lot of, there's a lot of techniques to it. And if you want to get it right, you have to practice at it. But I've learned a little bit about everything, just because sometimes I can't get vendors out fast enough. Sometimes they call in sick. Sometimes there's an emergency. It varies, really. It depends on what's going on, how kind of how delicate the situation might be, and we prefer, as property managers, to do things as fast as possible. That's part of our taking pride in our ownership, is that we're always on call. If one of us is not available to take the call, the other definitely will be, regardless of day, night, weekend, holidays, things like that. We're always on call. But yes, I have learned over the past several years. I even have learned how to become a locksmith too, because I have to change locks all the time for tenants moving out. How to repin them, how to just swap out different types of locks, deadbolts, you name it. Really, it's
Right.
it's been, and I that's one of the best things about this job as well. And on the property management side is that I have learned how to do all these different things, changing out light fixtures, changing doors, changing locks, how to change filters for all these different HVAC units. It's so helpful, because it's also helped me to be able to handle things independently, in my own life, at my own house, my own properties, things like that. It's so beneficial, because you realize how much you save when you become independent on like those certain things. Yes.
Right. Absolutely. So, what types of properties are these that you're managing?
So they're all office space buildings. Usually they're about around 10 to 15,000 square feet each. There's 8 of them that I currently manage, and we actually own all of the buildings that we manage too. They're all family owned and family run, which is also helpful too because um, one of the easy things is that I don't have to jump through a lot of hoops to talk to a lot of people to make sure, hey, this is something that needs to be done. If it needs to be done as one of the, property owners and managers, I can actually, if I'm told about this, usually the same day I'm able to do something about it instead of having to, communicate that and play telephone almost. Mm-hmm.
Right, absolutely. And I have to imagine that's got to help with, trying to find new tenants also. And if there's, a certain layout or something that, that you're able to kind of help, you're really able to answer any questions right then and there, that a prospective, tenant might have about, bringing something in or the type of business that they are going to be coming in.
Yes. So that helps tremendously when I put on the broker hat because
Yeah.
I've got to, when I have to show properties, it makes things so much easier when these potential tenants are throwing questions at me that maybe, brokers might not know right off the top of their head. I'm able to answer pretty quickly, when they ask me certain things about HVAC or when they ask me certain things about, I'm trying to think of like perfect examples, the work that we can provide. Sometimes tenants need some tenant improvements, and right off the bat, I'll probably be able to answer. If they say, "I would like to take this space, but before moving in, can we recarpet or can we refloor? Can we change some of the walls or things like that? Can we add plumbing into it?" And it makes things easy when I already know as the man, the owner, what we can, what we can't do, how long of a lease we need, what we can do for the space.
Right, absolutely. Um, you know, with client, tenant relationships, what has been, the last couple of years like with, just obviously coming out of the pandemic and everything with that, and how businesses have changed. What's that kind of learning curve been like over the past few years?
So COVID has impacted the business in many different ways. It didn't impact ours as much as I thought it would in the beginning. I believe the hit of COVID was around April of 2020 when things started to shut down. People were, yeah, that was a scary time for us because we didn't know what was going to happen. You know, we had to, of course, let all the tenants know, hey, I'm sorry, this is a hard time for all of us, but the access to the buildings is a little bit limited right now because businesses have to close down. Once they started to come back, though, we only had a few case scenarios where there were difficulties with some tenants who, unfortunately, either were unable to survive the pandemic or maybe they were too scared and needed to. We needed to figure something out with them. It happened a few times. I did have a couple of bigger tenants who moved more to the working from home too.
Mhm.
We had a few case scenarios where some tenants had to downsize significantly because they didn't need the office space anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too about being the owners and property managers and brokers is that we could, coordinate with them. We could work with them, figure out a solution on, how to help them while they're currently in, like, say, the middle of their lease, but they need to downsize. So that was also, it made things easier on that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to, yeah. I mean, I just have to imagine the whole, being the owner and manager just really kind of helps, um, just kind of smooth out any roadblocks that there might be.
Yes, it really does. It helps you to be able to see all aspects of it. You're able to answer questions much faster for the potential tenants or just the tenants in general. And it's kind of a one-stop shop. That also is something that these potential tenants and the tenants themselves really enjoy is that I always tell them, there's really just there's two of us, and we handle all aspects of it. Right now, I'm the broker, but it's not like I'm going to disappear after you lease the space. You will see me around. I'm like the handyman too. So, and the tenants see me around often. That's also the benefit too, is that they know who I am. I know each tenant individually. Know their location, name, everything. It helps me to know when someone calls in and they give me their first name. I'm like, oh, okay, so I'm pretty sure this is from this building here, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, absolutely. When it comes to say you're looking for a new tenant for one of your properties, what's
Mm-hmm.
what's the kind of the marketing process? What do you do to bring in new tenants to your properties?
So we have figured out a way to advertise via 4 different places online. We of course have our own website for Mountain Management and Real Estate Inc. But we also have 2 places on the commercial side of Colorado Springs and El Paso County where we can reach out and broadcast to other brokers or just people that are part of the 2 companies are LoopNet and Catalyst. Those two are kind of more on the commercial niche. I know that the residential niche has the PPAR or the Pikes Peak, yeah. But the commercial side is a little more, it has an exclusive just, for the commercial brokers and people looking for office space or the industrial, things like that. And then the last place where we usually advertise and we get the most from it is Craigslist, believe it or not. Yeah. We get a lot of people looking from Craigslist. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just think it's great, that you kind of were able to, after the first couple of years in the real estate industry, realizing, make this shift and things have worked out so well that I think that's always great when somebody's able to kind of weather the storm a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and really kind of, hone in on what their strengths are and just, what's going to make them ultimately successful. But your guys' business in general, just having that, the lack of roadblocks and the lack of people that you have to get through. I have to imagine that that's going to help with also, word of mouth advertising for you as well. If a business happens to know a friend or, somebody that's looking to, bring in some office space, they know how much of a direct line that they have to the management and the owners of the property.
Absolutely. We have a lot of tenants that, unfortunately, at times they're not able to renew, or they need to, they need to outgrow of something that we can't accommodate for. Oftentimes, they do come back if they are looking for office space again, or they have friends or family that are looking all the time. I have to say, especially in the salon kind of style spaces, I have a lot of uh, tenants who do hairstyling, esthetician work, massage therapy. A lot of times they come back or they have friends that are looking who also are wanting some salon style spaces. It's quite common, in fact, that we have people that just reach out to us and say, so and so rented from you this many years ago, and I'm looking for something similar. Do you have that? And that's, yeah, word of mouth is huge for us too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. What's the before we wrap up,
Mm-hmm.
what's kind of the future goals for you guys?
So we've remained as a small business over the years. And that's been more so because we want to remain that kind of, that niche where we can help our tenants because we're, small enough to be able to make them our priority. We don't want to grow too big. I believe we want to kind of keep that aspect of it because it helps us to it keeps us from the competition as that's how we're able to talk to our tenants and potential tenants and clients, say things like this is it makes it easier for us to communicate with you. So I would probably say that for our future goal is to kind of maintain that kind of relationship with our buildings, with our tenants. It makes things a lot easier. I wouldn't kind of rule out the idea of expanding. I have thought about what it would be like to kind of grow and have maybe another property manager full time. So there's 3 of us or 4 of us, just to kind of juggle that out. But I personally think that it works really well with what it is right now, and it can be a hectic job for just 2.5 property managers handling over 120 tenants. But that's the kind of avenue I see it kind of just continuing with. It's one of those things where we found our niche and it really works for us and we enjoy it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and there's that fine line of, if you grow too big, the expenses and everything else that come with it grow
Absolutely.
right along with it.
Yes, that is one of the things that my mother and I we thrive on, is that we like to keep things simplistic. We like to be on a name basis. People know me as not just the property manager, but one of the owners and one of the handymen sometimes too. It makes things great, and the tenants they really enjoy that, and I enjoy it too, because it gets me the ability to really know these tenants better and to be able to interact with them easier. So you're growing too big, you start to lose that, and then you start to forget, like once you have too many properties that you're overseeing, or that you become the kind of like the person who just interacts with those who have to interact with the tenants. You lose that connection, and it becomes not as I don't know. That's something that I don't want to turn into, but yes. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, again, I really do appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This was very fun. This was enjoyable, and I'm glad that I was able to share some of my experiences. Hopefully the listeners can take some information from that, and it could be beneficial for some people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if anything, it just shows that those first couple of years, actually, it's going to be difficult. And, you just have to persevere, or then also, kind of pivot a little bit to find where your success is going to come from.
Yes, absolutely. That is extremely important, is that this business is no different from any other startup business. They say that the first 3 to 5 years, you are not going to see any kind of income or any kind of profit. So you really have to spend money to make money. You really have to get yourself out there. Networking is extremely important. Working hard. Find ways to get your to find your own niche. Figure out how to get in there, and don't give up. It takes time, but if you really want to do it, you can make it happen.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today.
Of course. Yes. Thank you.
I really want to thank Taylor for joining us today, and I think that it's awesome that he was able to find his calling in commercial real estate and property management and is thriving in that career. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or real estate tips to share with our community, send us a message of feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.